Please adhere to YouTube's selected guidelines before viewing the content of this video. I do not encourage or condone any
What's going on, YouTube? We are back with another banger, with another video. Don't go nowhere, 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 nowhere. Cause we all coming back with the best content that we know y'all gonna love and enjoy. All here on YouTube. The best of the best. Give me a second, you guys. We're gonna be fixing some stuff on the stream before we get to it. Alright, you guys. We're gonna go here and check out something real quick. see right now. And we're trying to make an ideogram. We got here first. Alright, you guys. Alright. Let's see if we can locate. Bitmoji. Alright, you guys. We're gonna go to here. Bitmoji. I'm gonna put this on screen so y'all can see it. Here we go, guys. my dad can make it, because apparently I ran out of storage. Hold on 1 second, we're gonna try it on the computer real quick. second, y'all. Alright, Juju, let's see. We are back. Hope you guys been having a good time so far. We had to edit a little bit of stuff, get some stuff right, get some stuff going. But that don't mean we not here. That don't mean we not live. Hope you guys been having a good time so far. We had to edit a little bit of stuff, get some stuff right, get some stuff going. But that don't mean we not here. That don't mean we not live. Alrighty. So without further ado, we back. We are back. And we here today to do what's special. And we are here, you guys. Don't forget to check it out. Our latest live stream talking about the dopest genetics. Candy Scissor. Says it right there on the package. Don't forget to try out some Candy Scissor. I'll let y'all guys see the package right now. That Candy Scissor. And without further ado, we're gonna roll up a chopper real quick and get right into this video. Smells so good, you guys. No, we ain't gonna roll no chopper. I was just playing about that, but we are gonna roll a joint. I'll be right back, you guys. Alright, you guys. Without further ado, let's get right into this. Starting to get dry on me, y'all. Alright, you guys, let's roll this thing up. Alright, you too. Alright, you guys. We got our Blizzy Road. We rolled up. Got us an L right here. We gonna spark this up. Then get into some editing. Get into some editing here. We gotta go through this live right here. Or this live. We gotta download it. Can't download it yet. We gotta download this live. And while that downloads, we're gonna come over here. To here. Alright, you guys. Now we're here. Let's check out some videos while we sit back and smoke for a second. I don't know how long the live stream's been so far, but let's find something cool to watch. While we kick back and smoke. Let's see, you guys.
In 20...
Let's check some of this out, you guys, while our video is
Jacobo
done.
Greenberg described our world as a matrix 20 years before the Matrix movies came out. To him, it was science, not science fiction. And he was about to prove his theory when he mysteriously vanished, never to be found again. This is the mystery of Jacobo Grinberg's unsolved disappearance. Jacobo Grinberg was 12 when his mother died from a brain tumor. This sad period in his life motivated Grinberg to study the human brain. As a result, he spent his young adult years pursuing degrees in psychology and psychophysiology. Ultimately, he got a PhD and set up a lab in Mexico, researching how the brain reacts to different stimuli. Grinberg was on track to a stellar career in academia. All he had to do was stick to whatever was normal in his field, but what Jacobo was about to discover was anything but normal. And it all started with an unexpected invitation. In 1975, the scientist was invited to Los Pinos, which was like...
I really like this story, you guys. Let's see.
Every day, some new bizarre catastrophe plays out on our screens, or for the unlucky, right in front of us. Events occurring so drastically, chaotically, and frequently that it's almost impossible to keep up. And maybe that's by design. Well, today we're going to unravel some of those disturbing events, mysterious happenings, conspiracy theories, if you will, and cover them in depth in an attempt to get to the bottom of things and have something to look back on.
I'm trying to find like those stories that we were listening to. Here we go, you guys.
Everyone believes world leaders make their own decisions, but what if they're being systematically replaced?
Let's check this out, you guys.
They told you Princess Diana died in a car crash. The world mourned a beloved princess, but I was her personal aide for 3 years, and I know what she whispered
Here we
to
go.
me that final week at Kensington Palace. She was terrified, not of paparazzi, but of something ancient, something that had been watching the royal family for centuries. I was there. I saw it. And before they silence me, you need to know the truth.
Let's check this out, you guys.
My name is James Hartwell, and for 3 years I served as Princess Diana's personal aide. I'm telling you this because they're closing in, and if something happens to me, someone needs to know what really happened in those final days before Paris. What I'm about to tell you will sound impossible, but I swear on my mother's grave, every word is true. I started working at Kensington Palace in 1994. Nothing prepared me for what I'd discover there. Not the protocol training, not the background checks, not the endless meetings about discretion and loyalty. They never told us about the old wing. They never mentioned why certain corridors were kept locked, or why Diana would sometimes stare out her windows for hours, watching the grounds, like she was expecting something. The first strange thing happened in my second week. I was delivering correspondence to Diana's private study, when I noticed her sitting perfectly still at her desk, staring at an old photograph. When I cleared my throat to announce myself, she startled so violently that she knocked over her tea. "James," she said, pressing a hand to her chest. "How long have you been standing there?" "Just arrived, Your Highness. I have the morning letters." She quickly turned the photograph face down, but not before I caught a glimpse. It looked old, Victorian era, showing a group of people in formal dress standing in what appeared to be the same room we were in. What struck me as odd was how Diana kept glancing at it, even after turning it over, like it was calling to her. "Tell me, James," she said suddenly, "do you believe in family curses?" The question caught me off guard. "I'm sorry?" "Old stories. Things passed down through generations. Do you think there's truth in them?" I gave her some polite answer about family traditions, but she wasn't really listening. She was staring past me toward the tall windows that faced the palace gardens. Her face had gone pale, and I noticed her hands were trembling slightly. "Your Highness, are you feeling well?" She blinked, seeming to come back to herself. "Yes, of course. Just tired. Thank you for the letters, James. I should have left then, but something made me linger." Diana walked to the window and placed her palm against the glass. From where I stood, I could see the reflection of her face, and what I saw there was pure terror. Not sadness, not worry, terror. Like she was looking at something that frightened her to her core. "They've been here much longer than we have," she whispered, so quietly I almost didn't hear. "Ma'am."
Who she talk about, y'all? Y'all let me know. Y'all let me know who you think she's talking about. Who do you think she's talking about?
She turned sharply, and for a moment I saw something in her eyes I'd never seen before. A wildness like an animal backed into a corner. Nothing. I was just thinking aloud, but it wasn't nothing. Over the following weeks I began to notice things. Diana would sometimes cancel appointments at the last minute, claiming she felt unwell. I'd find her in odd places, standing in doorways staring down empty corridors, or sitting in rooms she normally never used. Once I found her in the library at 3 in the morning, surrounded by dusty books that looked centuries old. "Research," she explained when I asked what she was doing. "Family research." The books were about bloodlines, genealogy, and something else. Something about ancient families and their guardians. That was the word that stuck with me. Guardians. The way it was written in those old texts, it didn't sound protective. It sounded predatory. Diana's behavior became increasingly erratic. She'd ask me strange questions during our daily briefings. Had I ever seen anything unusual in the palace at night? Did I know why certain portraits had been removed from the main hall? Had anyone ever told me about the old servants' quarters that were sealed off in the 1800s? I answered honestly, no to all of it. But her questions made me start paying attention to things I previously ignored, like how certain areas of the palace always felt cold, even in summer. How some of the older staff members would cross themselves when walking past specific doorways. How there were rooms on the palace floor plans that didn't seem to exist when you actually walked the corridors. The breaking point came in early August 1997. Diana had been particularly agitated all week, constantly looking over her shoulder, jumping at sudden noises. She'd started requesting that I stay later in the evenings, always finding extra work that needed doing. I realized now she didn't want to be alone after dark. It was a Thursday evening, around 9 o'clock. I was organizing files in the outer office when I heard Diana call my name. Her voice sounded strained, frightened. I rushed to her study and found her standing by the window again, but this time she was backing away from it. "Do you see it?" she whispered without taking her eyes off the glass. I moved closer and looked out at the gardens. The sun had set, and the grounds were bathed in that purple twilight that makes everything look different. At first I saw nothing unusual, just the familiar shapes of hedges and trees. Then something moved. It was subtle at first, just a shifting of shadows near the old oak tree. But as I watched, the shadow seemed to detach itself from the tree and move across the lawn with a fluid, unnatural motion. It wasn't walking, it was flowing, like liquid darkness given form. "What is that?" I breathed. Diana's hand gripped my arm so tightly I could feel her fingernails through my jacket. "They've been watching the family for generations," she said, "protecting their investment." The shadow thing moved closer to the palace.
Because they are the family,
and
y'all.
as it did,
That is the family, I bet. I bet that is the family, though. Real talk. Oh, snap. Hold up, y'all. Pressing button. Alright, we back.
I began to make out more details that my mind struggled to process. It was roughly human-shaped, but wrong in every proportion. Too tall, too thin, with limbs that bent at angles that shouldn't be possible. And its face. I can still see it when I close my eyes. It wasn't a face at all, not really. It was a void surrounded by something that looked like scales, catching and reflecting the light from the palace windows. But where eyes should have been, there were 2 points of light that seemed to burn with their own cold fire. It knows we're watching, Diana whispered. As if responding to her words, the thing turned its attention directly to our window. Those burning points fixed on us, and I felt something probe at the edges of my mind, a cold, alien intelligence that made my stomach lurch with revulsion. Diana pulled me back from the window. "Don't let it see you clearly," she hissed. "Don't let it remember your face." We crouched below the windowsill, and I could hear my heart pounding in my ears. Diana was shaking uncontrollably now, and when I looked at her, I saw tears streaming down her face. "They're not human," she whispered. "They never were the family. Some of us carry their blood. That's why they watch. That's why they protect the bloodline. We're their livestock." The word hit me like a physical blow.
Livestock. Bingo. He's right on the money, you guys.
What are you saying? "The boys," she continued, her voice breaking. "William and Harry, they have the blood too, stronger than mine. That's what it wants, what they all want." I started to ask what she meant, but she pressed her hand over my mouth. "Listen." At first I heard nothing. Then faintly came a sound that made every hair on my body stand on end. It was like singing, but not human singing. The melody was beautiful and terrible at the same time, and it seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. As it grew louder, I felt an overwhelming urge to stand up and look out the window again. Diana's grip on my arm tightened. "Don't listen, that's how they call to us." The singing continued for what felt like hours, but was probably only minutes. When it finally faded, Diana slowly raised her head to peer over the windowsill. I followed her gaze and saw that the lawn was empty again. Whatever had been out there was gone. But as we sat there in the darkness of her study, I knew with absolute certainty that our lives had changed forever. Whatever Diana had just shown me, whatever she knew about her family's true nature, had made us both targets. And that was only the beginning. The days following that encounter in Diana's study were
He's absolutely right about that. No, they both targets. Because it knows that they know they're there. So, yep.
like anything I'd experienced in my 3 years at the palace. Diana barely slept, barely ate. I'd find her at all hours pacing the corridors, checking locks on doors that were never locked before, pulling curtains tight against windows that had always welcomed the light. She started requesting that I accompany her everywhere.
I might tell y'all a story one time of how I saw a demigod at night outside one time. I might tell y'all that story one day.
Not just to official functions, but to every room in her private quarters. She claimed she needed help organizing, but I knew the truth. She was terrified of being alone, and after what I'd seen in the gardens, I couldn't blame her. 3 days after the shadow incident, Diana asked me to help her move some boxes from her bedroom closet. It seemed like a normal request, until I realized we were heading toward a part of her quarters I'd never entered before. She led me through a door I'd always assumed was decorative, down a narrow hallway lined with portraits.
That's why them reptiles are already in space. Because they be calling quarters the same thing as on spaceships. Is what they call quarters for different rooms and stuff. So that's how you could tell they've been on space. They've been in space because they built the city like that. So they had to come down again.
Of royal family members I didn't recognize. The paintings were wrong somehow. Not the technique or the framing. but the subjects themselves. Their eyes seemed too large, too bright, and they all shared the same unsettling smile that didn't reach their eyes. In
How's you
several
guys? I'm gonna go
portraits,
check
I
on my
noticed the
dog real
subjects
quick.
wore jewel.
Alright, you guys. We are back. We are back, you guys. Let's get it.
With stones that seemed to shift and move when I wasn't looking directly at them. Diana, I said, forgetting protocol in my unease. Who are these people? She paused in front of a particularly disturbing portrait of a woman in Victorian dress. The woman's skin had an odd, scaled texture that the artist had somehow made beautiful and repulsive at the same time. Family, Diana said simply. The ones we don't talk about in the official histories. The hallway ended at a heavy wooden door with an intricate lock I'd never seen before. Diana produced a key from around her neck. When had she started wearing a necklace? And opened the door to reveal a small study filled with documents, photographs and artifacts that made my skin crawl. The walls were covered with family trees, but these weren't the sanitized versions shown to the public. These charts went back centuries, with names written in different hands, different languages. Some names were crossed out in red ink, others were circled repeatedly. And running alongside the human lineage was another family tree, one that depicted creatures I couldn't identify, but that filled me with instinctive dread. This is what they don't want us to remember, Diana said, gesturing to a collection of photographs spread across a desk. The arrangement, the covenant. Potutu, I approached the photos reluctantly. They appeared to be from various time periods, showing what looked like ceremonial gatherings. In the earliest images, dating back to the 1800s based on the clothing, I saw groups of people in formal dress standing alongside tall, thin figures whose faces were always obscured by shadow or strange headwear. But it was the more recent photos that made my blood run cold. I recognized Buckingham Palace in the background of several images from what appeared to be the 1950s and 60s, and in these photos the shadowy figures weren't hidden anymore. They stood openly among the human family members, their scaled skin gleaming in the camera flash, their elongated limbs and impossible proportions making them tower over even the tallest humans. Their faces were angular and predatory, with those same burning eyes I'd seen in the gardens. And the human family members in the photos weren't recoiling in horror. They were smiling, posing as if this was the most natural thing in the world. Dear God, I whispered. God has nothing to do
Wonder what that could be, y'all. I wonder.
with this, Diana said bitterly. This is much older than any religion. The family made a deal centuries ago. Protection, power, wealth, all in exchange for keeping the bloodline pure, for providing them with what
This could be a fake story, y'all, but it could be relatable to what's going on today.
they need. I picked up one of the more recent photos from what looked like the 1970s. In it, I could clearly see a young woman who looked remarkably like Diana, standing next to one of the creatures. The woman was holding a baby, and the creature had one clawed hand resting possessively on the child's head. Is this my mother? Diana confirmed. And that's me as an infant. They marked me young, marked me as a breeder. The word hung in the air like a curse. I set the photo down with shaking hands. Diana, what exactly are you telling me? She moved to a cabinet and pulled out a leather-bound journal. The pages looked ancient, filled with handwriting in multiple languages and diagrams that hurt to look at. The first contact happened in 1743, she said, reading from the journal. King George II was losing a war, facing financial ruin. They came to him with an offer: unlimited resources, protection from enemies, guarantee that his bloodline would rule for centuries. All he had to do was agree to their terms. She flipped through pages covered in what looked like contractual language, written in multiple hands over different time periods.
That's crazy as heck, y'all, for real, for real. What y'all think about that? Let me know in the comments. How they have covered up a lot of this stuff, and it's now just coming out. Even though it's just sci-fi stories. But a lot of this is super relatable to nowadays.
They take some of us for experimentation, for breeding, for purposes the journal doesn't make clear. But they also protect the family, ensure our power continues. The Crown's influence isn't political, it's supernatural. They've been the real power behind the throne for almost 3 centuries. I sank into a chair, my mind reeling. But why are you showing me this? Why now? Diana's face crumpled, and for the first time since I'd known her, she looked truly defeated. Because they want the boys. William and Harry carry the strongest genetic markers in generations. The things in the shadows. They've been patient, but their patience is ending. There's something happening, something big, and they need the boys for it. She pulled out a folder filled with medical documents, genetic charts, and what appeared to be correspondence between various doctors and scientists. They've been testing the boys since they were born. Blood samples, tissue samples, psychological evaluations, disguised as routine checkups. Charles thinks it's normal royal medical care, but I've seen the real reports. William especially has genetic markers that are unique. The medical documents were filled with terminology I didn't understand, but certain phrases jumped out at me. Enhanced psychic receptivity, accelerated cellular regeneration, compatible hybrid potential. Each phrase was more terrifying than the last. They're planning something for William's 16th birthday, Diana continued. Some kind of ceremony, a formal induction into the covenant. Once that happens, he'll belong to them completely. I looked at the dates on the medical reports. William would turn 16 in less than a year. That's why I've been fighting the divorce so hard. Charles is one of them now. Maybe he always was. As long as I have custody, I can protect the boys. But if something happens to me, she didn't need to finish the sentence. The implications were clear and horrifying. A sound from somewhere in the palace made us both freeze. Footsteps in the corridor outside, coming closer. Diana quickly began gathering the photos and documents. Help me, she whispered urgently. We need to hide these. We worked frantically to return everything to its proper place, but the footsteps were getting closer. I could hear voices now. Multiple people, speaking in low, urgent tones. Diana locked the cabinet and pocketed the key just as someone knocked on the outer door of her quarters. Your Royal Highness. It was Paul Burrell, her butler. You have visitors. Diana and I exchanged glances. She hadn't been expecting anyone. Who is it, Paul? Palace security, ma'am. They say there's been a breach in the computer systems. They need to check all the private offices for compromised files. Diana's face went white. Tell them I'll be right there. We could hear Paul's footsteps retreating, but then other sounds took their place. Multiple sets of footsteps spreading out through her quarters. They weren't waiting for permission. They know, Diana whispered. Somehow they know we've been looking into things we shouldn't. Through the walls, I could hear voices getting closer to the hidden study. Professional, efficient voices giving orders to search everywhere. Diana grabbed my arm. James, listen to me carefully. There's a service elevator at the end of this corridor that leads directly to the parking garage. Take my car. The keys are in my purse. Drive to the Ritz Hotel and ask for Henri Paul. Tell him I sent you. Tell him it's time for the contingency plan. I'm not leaving you here. You have to. Someone needs to know the truth about what's really happening to this family, about what they're planning for my boys. The voices were right outside the door now. Someone was testing the handle. Go, Diana hissed, pushing me toward a narrow door I hadn't noticed before. Remember everything I've shown you. Remember what they really are. I hesitated for one more second, looking back at this woman who had trusted me with the most dangerous secret imaginable. In that moment, I saw her clearly, not as a princess or a public figure, but as a terrified mother trying to protect her children from monsters that wore human faces. The last thing I saw before I slipped through the hidden door was Diana straightening her shoulders, composing herself.
That's exactly what it sounds like. Exactly how you explained it. Monsters with human faces.
Preparing to face whatever was coming through that door with the dignity and courage that had always defined her. I never saw her alive again. The service elevator felt like a coffin as it descended into the depths of the palace. My hands wouldn't stop shaking, and every mechanical sound made me flinch. Diana's words echoed in my head. Remember what they really are. But I wasn't sure I wanted to remember anything anymore. I wanted to forget everything I'd seen, everything I'd learned, and go back to my simple life of pressing uniforms and organizing schedules. The parking garage was dimly lit and eerily quiet. Diana's Mercedes sat exactly where she'd said it would be, keys in her purse, just as promised. As I slid behind the wheel, I caught sight of myself in the rearview mirror. My face was pale, my eyes wild with terror. I looked like a man fleeing a crime scene, which I supposed wasn't far from the truth. The drive through London felt surreal. Normal people going about their normal lives, completely unaware that monsters walked among the most powerful family in Britain. Traffic lights, street vendors, couples holding hands. Everything seemed impossibly innocent after what I'd witnessed. How could the world continue spinning when such darkness existed at its very center? The Ritz Hotel stood like a beacon of normalcy in the chaos of my thoughts. I'd been there dozens of times with Diana for various functions, but never like this. Never as a fugitive carrying secrets that could topple the crown. Henri Paul was exactly where Diana said he'd be, in the hotel's security office, reviewing footage from the lobby cameras. He was a stocky Frenchman with kind eyes and graying temples, someone I'd seen in Diana's company many times, but never really spoken to. When I mentioned Diana's name and the contingency plan, his entire demeanor shifted. Mon Dieu, he whispered, his face going ashen. She actually told you? About the family? You know about them? The creatures? Henri locked the office door and pulled the blinds. I've been helping Diana document everything for 2 years. The photos, the genetic reports, the medical files. We've been building a case, gathering evidence of what they really are. He moved to a safe hidden behind a painting and began entering a combination with trembling fingers. She knew this day would come. Knew they'd eventually realize she was investigating them. The safe opened to reveal stacks of documents, photographs, and what appeared to be medical vials filled with dark liquid. Henri pulled out a thick folder, and spread its contents across his desk. "Look at this," he said, pointing to a series of photographs I hadn't seen before. These were recent, taken with long-range lenses through palace windows. They showed members of the royal family in what appeared to be private moments, but something was wrong with their appearances. In one photo, Charles stood in profile near a window, but his shadow on the wall behind him was completely wrong, elongated with what looked like scales along the silhouette's back. Another showed the Queen Mother in her garden, but her reflection in a nearby fountain showed the angular predatory features I'd seen on the creatures in Diana's hidden study. The genetic contamination has been spreading through the bloodline for generations, Henri explained. Diana believes it started slowly, interbreeding between the creatures and select humans. But now, after almost 3 centuries, the distinction between human and them is becoming meaningless. He pulled out a medical report dated just 3 weeks earlier. "These are William's latest blood work results. The boy's genetic markers are unlike anything the doctors have seen. Enhanced healing, increased cognitive function, and something they're calling morphic potential." What does that mean?" Henri's face was grim. "It means he can change, transform, become one of them at will." The implications hit me like a physical blow. Sweet, innocent William, the boy I'd watched grow up, helped with his homework, comforted after nightmares, was becoming something inhuman. "Diana's been giving him suppressants," Henri continued. "Experimental drugs that slow the transformation. That's what's in these vials, but they're becoming less effective. Soon, nothing will be able to stop what he's becoming." I picked up one of the vials, watching the dark liquid swirl in the light. And Harry's transformation is different, more psychological than physical. They're grooming him for something else, something that requires him to retain his human appearance while serving their interests. Henri moved to another section of documents, these ones covered in what looked like architectural blueprints. Diana discovered they've been building something beneath Balmoral Castle, a facility that goes down at least 12 levels, connected to a network of tunnels that stretch for miles. The blueprints showed a complex underground structure with chambers marked for various purposes: genetic research, breeding programs, metamorphosis chambers, and most chilling of all, royal integration protocol. The ceremony Diana mentioned, William's 16th birthday, it's going to happen there. They plan to complete his transformation in front of the entire extended family. Make him their prince in truth. A phone rang, cutting through the tension like a blade. Henri answered it with a cautious, "We?" His face went white as he listened. When he hung up, his hands were shaking. "That was my contact in palace security. Diana's been taken to Balmoral. They're saying she had a nervous breakdown, needs rest and medical attention. But we both know what that really means." The room felt like it was spinning. "We have to help her." "With what?" "We have photographs and theories, but no proof that would stand up to scrutiny. And even if we did, who would believe us? Who would act against the crown based on claims about reptilian creatures and genetic manipulation?" Henri began packing the documents back into the safe. Diana knew
They kinda
this
had
might
no
happen.
choice, huh?
She prepared
They kinda had no choice, huh?
for it. There's a journalist, Martin Bashir, who's been investigating irregularities in royal medical records. She's been feeding him information slowly, carefully. If something happens to her, he has instructions to go public with everything. And if they get to him too? Henri paused in his packing. "Then pray they don't realize how much you know." As if summoned by his words, my phone rang. The caller ID showed a number I didn't recognize, but something deep in my gut told me I had to answer. "James," the voice was distorted, electronic, but I could hear Diana beneath the static. "James, can you hear me?" "Diana, where are you? Are you hurt? Listen carefully. I don't have much time. They're keeping me sedated, but I managed to get to a phone. You have to get William and Harry out of London tonight, before they realize I've told you everything. How? I can't just kidnap the princes. There's a man named Dodi Fayed. He has resources, connections outside their control. Find him. Tell him about the bloodline, about what they're planning. He'll help you. The line crackled with interference, and I could hear voices in the background. Urgent, angry voices, speaking in a language I didn't recognize. They're coming, Diana whispered. James, remember what I showed you. Remember the truth about this family. No matter what they say happened to me, no matter what the official story becomes, you know what they really are. The line went dead. Henry and I stared at each other in the awful silence that followed. In the distance, I could hear sirens, multiple vehicles moving fast through the London streets. They're coming here, Henry said simply. They know about our meetings, about the evidence we've gathered. He grabbed a small bag from the safe and pressed it into my hands. Copies of everything. Photos, documents, medical records. Get these to Dodi Fayed. He'll know what to do with them. What about you? Henry smiled sadly. Someone has to slow them down, give you time to escape. Through the office window, I could see black vehicles pulling up outside the hotel. Men.
So I think I caught that right. They want to slow them down with some medicine or something so they can escape.
Dark suits were already moving through the lobby, their movements too fluid, too coordinated to be entirely human. Henri unlocked the office door and straightened his tie. There's a service entrance through the kitchen. It leads to an alley behind the hotel. Take Diana's car and drive to the Harrods department store. Dodi will be in the executive offices on the top floor. Henri, go, now, before they realize you were ever here. I clutched the bag of evidence and moved toward the back exit. The last thing I saw was Henri Paul walking calmly toward the lobby, his shoulders squared, ready to face whatever was coming through those doors. As I slipped through the kitchen and into the alley, I could hear commotion erupting in the hotel behind me. Shouts, the sound of furniture being overturned, and underneath it all a sound that made my blood freeze, something between a hiss and a growl that no human throat could make. The service alley behind the Ritz reeked of rotting food and diesel fumes, but I'd never been so grateful for disgusting smells in my life. They meant the world was still normal, still functioning according to the rules I understood. The sounds from inside the hotel were getting worse. More inhuman growls, mixed with what sounded like Henri's screaming. I forced myself to move, clutching the evidence bag against my chest like a shield. Diana's Mercedes was parked exactly where I'd left it, but now it felt less like salvation, and more like a target. Every shadow could hide one of them. Every reflection in the car windows could reveal something watching me. The drive to Harrods should have taken 20 minutes. It took me an hour. I kept taking wrong turns, doubling back, checking my mirrors obsessively. Twice I pulled over completely, convinced I was being followed by the same black sedan. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely grip the steering wheel. London's familiar streets felt alien now, like I was seeing them through different eyes. Every person walking on the sidewalk could be one of them. Every government building could house more creatures wearing human faces. The very foundations of everything I believed about my country, my society, were crumbling with each month.
And that is what you call the Matrix. But thank you guys for watching and tuning in today, you guys. That's all we're finna watch for today. But we're gonna edit some and then hopefully have a video for you guys out today too. But since today was a short stream, we are gonna check out more of this video next stream though. So y'all stay tuned for that. This has been a decent video so far.